Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, year 2, week 2, ending April 26, 2019. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I've bought, nor an endorsement to purchase stocks in general. I'm just sharing my stock journey with you. Watch me on my journey, learn from my mistakes, and celebrate my successes. In year 1 of my stock experiment, I made 22% versus 9% for the S&P. And I just started year 2. But if I look at my performance from January 4th this year to April 26th, I'm only up 10% and the S&P is up 16%. So definitely follow me along, but don't do what I'm doing. Just pick your own stocks and track them, measure them, and set up your sell rules. My mission is to become a great CanSlim growth stock investor. I want to see if I can reach my $200,000 goal in year 2. And my focus this year is going to be on stock selection, buying, and managing my portfolio. I'm also going to continue to practice and refine my sell rules. I'm going to take my stock ideas from the mini charts on the weekly IBD newspaper. For years, I've been buying stocks from the IBD 50 and the IBD 20 list, but I never had good portfolio management or sell rules. So now that I've gotten my sell rules down, I'm still going to pick from these lists and see how I can perform. I'm also going to look at the sector leader list and the IPO leaders. I'll further refine my list by reviewing these stocks on Stock Doctor. And I'm going to try and limit my watch list to 20 stocks. I really want to have the best of the best. And to narrow it down, I'm going to compare them against each other to weed out the weaker ones. I'm also going to rely on the IBD newspaper and MarketSmith to help direct me to the pivot point, the right time to buy. And then I'm going to pyramid into my positions with 3 buys. The first one for 10,000, the second one for 6,000, and the last one for 4,000. Buy 2 I'm going to do after the stock is up 2.5% from buy 1, and buy number 3 I'm going to do after it's up 5% from buy 1. And this is going to help me limit my portfolio to about 5 to 7 stocks. Several weeks ago, I drew these blue lines, 3 different areas of resistance that I identified. The highest point of resistance is 29.12 that I identified. The S&P 500 did go above that on Tuesday, and it held above it for the week. So this is awesome, going in the right direction. The 2-year chart for the S&P 500 shows that this index is at almost at an all-time high. It's 1 point below its all-time high. The volatility index is down at 12.73. I like to see it below 16, so this is great. I sold 3 stocks this week and I made 3 purchases. One was a new stock, one was my buy number 3, and one was a buy number 2. I have several options on how to spend that money. I could do a buy number 2 for Coupa. I could do a buy number 3 for Google and Coupa, or I could make a new purchase. The buy number 2s and buy number 3s I'm only using on stocks that I've purchased in year 2. The older stocks will eventually fall off my experiment, and so I'm just using this new strategy for new stocks going forward. Here's a holding bar chart for the stocks that I sold. Each bar represents 1 week. So you can see Bold I had held for 6 weeks, and 2 weeks ago it had been up, and then it dropped last week, and then it dropped even more this week, and it triggered a sell. Boot started up and then steadily declined, and Keys was up as much as 7%, and then it dropped last week and continued to drop this week. So all 3 of these triggered, and they've been sold. Boot Barn I held for just over 3 weeks, and I lost 5%. I sold it on 422, which is where that dash yellow line is and that black dot. Keys I held for 6 weeks, and I had a gain of 2%. Last week when I was doing my stock adjustments, I left my floor at the 28-day exponential moving average from the week before, but if I would have raised my floor up, I could have squeezed out a little more gain. Bold. This stock opened on Friday below its 50-day moving average, and then by the end of the day, it was back up to its 8-day simple moving average. It closed all the way back up there, but I did get kicked out. I held this stock for 6 weeks and I lost $383. Here's my current holding bar chart, and again, each bar represents 1 week. This chart is just showing the initial $10,000 purchase of each stock. The 2 stocks where I've made additional buys on Five and Google, I'm just showing the first buy 1. Then we can compare these stocks side by side. And I rank the stocks in the order of weakest to strongest, and now I'm going to review those charts. Every weekend I read the IBD newspaper. You can check it out online at investors.com. And I look for ideas for stocks. One of the places I look is on this IPO leaders list. So I have been watching Coupa Software for a few weeks, and it's on the IPO leader list. It said it was trying to find support near the 10-week line. You can see on this chart it has a relative strength of 97, which is super strong, and a composite rating of 96, which is super strong. And it was very near 100. I thought this stock needed to go over 100, and it did break 100 on Friday, and I went ahead and purchased it. I had also had this stock on a watch list that I created on April 11th. You can see it down at the bottom, COUP, number 2. Number 1 is showing where my date is when I created this watch list. And I put in the price at the time that I created this watch list. So Coupa's gone up actually 6% from them. So it would have been a good stock to get in back at that point. Number 3, I use a Fidelity tool called Active Trader Pro, and it has this real-time analytics, and it pops information up when something happens with the stock, and if it's green, it means it's good, and if it's bad, it is in red. And then if you hover over those, it tells you what that signal means. So the 52 means that it reached a new high. The SMA means that the 20-day has crossed above the 50-day, which they're saying is a bullish event, which is good. And then BB are these Bollinger Bands that are telling you when the price deviates either above or below that. And this one happened to be above, which they say is strong. I listed Coupa as my weakest stock because I've only had it for 1 day. It is up 0.3%, but I need to give it, some time to prove itself since its purchase. When I first buy a stock, I put the floor at 8%, which I did in this case, and then I revisit it each week. And I either move it up to the 28-day exponential moving average or the 50-day simple moving average. And for this stock, I moved it up to the 28-day, and it's just slightly above that 8% mark. So it's hard to see that dash yellow line. ACN. I've held this stock just about 4 weeks, and it's up just about 3%. It's not a fast accelerating stock, but it is going up, and the price is above the 8 and the 13-day simple moving average. ATR. I've held this stock for 4 weeks, and it's up 4%. Earnings are coming for this stock, so we'll need to see what happens in the upcoming week. Some people like to sell going into earnings if they don't have some sort of a cushion. I tend to not buy stocks right before earnings, but I'm fine holding this through earnings. ADP, I've held this stock just about 11 weeks and it's up 10%. I raised the floor up to the 28-day exponential moving average. Google, I made a second buy on this stock this week. The first buy had gone up 2.5%, so I made a second purchase on April 23rd. I've held that one for 4 days and it's up 0.4%. And the first purchase I've held for 1.6 weeks and it's up 3%. My floor is at the 50-day simple moving average, which is less than 8% from both buys. Down in the volume section at number 1, you can see that Google has had several updates with above average volume. This is awesome. TWLO, this stock had a strong week. The earnings are coming up this coming week on 4/30. And at number 1, I'm trying to show you the pivot point. Number 1 is the prior high, which was 136. So this stock is coming up on the pivot point. I'm sure that it will, if it has positive earnings, it will zoom above that. I've held this stock for 4 weeks and it's up 6%. And I raised my floor up to the 50-day simple moving average. Ollie, I've held this for 3 weeks and this stock is up 7%. And I was able to move my floor up to that 28-day exponential moving average, which is slightly above my purchase point. Five Below, I do have my 3 purchases in this stock now. I did make another purchase this week. My buy one I've held for 2 weeks and it's up 7.6%. My second buy I've held for 1.8 weeks and it's up 5%. And my third buy I've held for 0.8 weeks for 4 days and it's up 2.2%. I did raise the floor up to the 28-day exponential moving average. Look at all those green bars in the volume section down at number 1. 10 up days in a row. CyberArk, I've held this stock just about 7 weeks and it's up 14%. This stock has been a really strong stock in the past, and I am using the 50-day simple moving average for the floor, and I did raise my floor up to the current 50-day simple moving average. Here's the dollar value gain for each stock week to week, with sorted by the lowest value on the top. So all my stocks are winners so far. Coupa, I've just held 1 day and it's up $28. My idea is if I take care of the losers, the winners will take care of themselves. That's why I sort by the lowest value to the strongest value. And this is the percentage gain for the week, also sorted with the lowest value on the top. I put green check marks by stocks that I was concerned about last week. ADP, ATR, CyberArk, and TWLO all had really rough weeks last week, but now all my stocks are doing okay. The industry breakdown for this week is the larger one on the left-hand side up at the top, and then on the right-hand side down at the bottom is what it looked like last week. So I did get rid of my electronics and my medical, and now I have the same dollar value invested in software as I do in retail, but in retail I have only 2 holdings and software I have 3. The weekly tracker, I highlighted areas that I'm concerned about in red. So I'm concerned that I don't have any sluggers, which is a stock that's gained 20%. And I'm concerned about that because I like to see sluggers come in about 35 days. And I've held one stock for 54 days and it's still not up to that 20% yet. The areas in green, my average gain of my stock is going up. My largest gain has gone up almost $500. That's great. And then my total gain went up $2,200, which is also awesome. I did sell 3 stocks this week. I had 1 small winner and 2 small losers. The benchmark started back in April 13, 2018. In that 1 year plus 2 weeks, I've made 24.5% in profit versus the S&P 500, which went up 10.7%. In the last week, my portfolio went up 2.7% versus the S&P 500 at 1.2%. But since the beginning of the year, since January 4th, 2019, the S&P has outperformed me by 6%. It's up 16% and my experiment's only up 10%. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want an alert when I post a new episode. I put these slides at the end for people who want a refresher or who haven't been watching my experiment from the beginning. My basic premise is my start date was April 13, 2018 with $100,000 to invest. My goal was to double my money in a year and to practice and develop sell rules. I was trading in my Roth IRA, and I had some free trades and no tax implications. During year one, my sell rules went through various iterations. Here's where they stand at the end of year one. I minimized my losses by setting stop limit orders at the floor. Initially, I set my floor at 8%, and then I revisit that once a week, and I either leave it alone or I move it up. The 2 points that I look for moving it up are the 50-day simple moving average, which I typically use for super strong stocks or large mega cap stocks, and the 28-day exponential moving average. Once I move my floor up, I can't move it down. I also like my stocks to be consistently gaining a minimum of 0.5% a week. Again, thanks for watching. See you next week.